tune writing process and kind of getting things done. So because we at the same time, like right when pandemic was kind of starting, we were already kind of looking into, again, adapting with like, how do we work best? Are we utilizing the studio like we really want to? And it was great for like having a place to meet, having a place to listen to our music together. But we were figuring out more that all of our writing was becoming a lot more like individual. None of us really liked having to have, a backseat producer and someone would be like, oh, it's great if you don't have any ideas, but if you do have ideas and you're trying to get into your flow of writing a tune and somebody's like in the background kind of chiming in, it's like, we want our own space to be able to like put the full idea out. So we ended up just like each having our own home studios at the moment.
Yep.
And so the way that the tune writing and that whole process works is we will write something individually and then get that to like a, hopefully like play out enough or like something it sounds like most of an idea, and then bring that to the group and kind of talk about, direct feedback. And what does this need? Is this a song? Oh my goodness, I hit my microphone. Is this a song for Ternion sound? Is this just something that we would like produce or release individually? Because we all like writing like a variety of stuff. Jack writes like IDM and hardcore. Andrew has his drum and bass love and has a couple other side projects. I like making really sad boy stuff, sing-songy, whatever.
Send it over.
Yeah, so we all kind of bring the idea or the song to the group, evaluate if it's like for the project, get as far as you can, and then stem everything out and send it to the mix master boy, Andrew. He is always the finisher.
Yeah.
He gets the tune, sounded great. He'll send the mix back to us maybe a couple other times, make sure there's nothing else we want to add or critique, and then it is done. At least
for certain type of psychopath to do that.
Totally. The list, you should see his house. It's full of lists all over the walls. We were just talking about that today. We were talking about some other organizational feature, and he made a comment like, "I already have lists all over my walls," and posted a little gif of like, it's like the Always Sunny in Philadelphia guy looking at all the charts on the wall.
How many cats has he got?
He has a dog. One dog. That's it.
Nice.
Good stuff.
Fuck yeah, that's fucking dope.
Distinct motive. What's up, Lita? Big up chat, by the way. Thanks for tuning in.
Oh yeah, big up everyone that's joined us. We're speaking with Aric from Ternion Sound. Special guest today.
Hey, there's a question, I'm not sure how long ago, but it's from Don saying, do you have production classes for the top tier on Patreon?
I think what we're doing, at least at the moment, Jack and Andrew are more they are definitely the production experts. They have a hell of a lot of production knowledge, and so they have done a lot of personal lessons, like through them individually. But I don't think we did any like specific lessons through Patreon yet. Although we're actually looking at sort of not a rebrand necessarily, but we're going to change up what each tier consists of probably in the next month or two to make sure that each of our patron levels are getting exactly what they pay for. And I
was just looking at them before. They look pretty well like defined, like pretty cool. Another question here, like before we go carry on. Turner West was saying, Aric, what's your favorite Ternion song and why is it Know Thyself?
I mean, that's definitely up there. I mean, what is my number one favorite Ternion Sound song? Oh boy. There's some really like weird pocket pick, never released, like, shit that we wrote in the beginning that's pretty weird sounding and like really, I mean, but is that my favorite tune? Know Thyself was great. Just how that tune kind of came together. That's definitely top 5 for sure.
Phil clearly likes Reckless because he's posted
Reckless.
it 5 million times in the chat.
Hell yeah.
Yes,
Big Shane.
Love that tune. Oh, what is?
If you're in the chat, let us know what your favorite Ternion soundtrack is. You're already doing it. Okay, cool. Good.
People are saying Flexin'.
I think the 14th. I think the 14th is my favorite Ternion Sound song.
Oh, wicked! I love that tune, man. And it's also, is that your latest release?
Yeah, that was our latest article release.
Yeah, I got that
just a couple months ago.
Yeah, I got that. I got the vinyl for that last week in the mail.
So. Hell yeah.
Yeah, been playing that.
Uptail, up. The family, people like the that one's super heavy. That was a fun, like, we made I think 3 war dubs. One of them was for Distinct Motive, and then just ended up being like, let's just release them, just give them to the patrons. They're super short but really aggressive, and that was fun.
Oh yes.
Forest Temple, man, that was the first or second Ternion Sound song ever produced. I made like the first version of that, and then went back like a couple months later, did another mix to it. Thank you. I'm super proud of Hallowed. I wrote that tune. That one's a
I love Hallowed.
I really love Hallowed and Know Thyself. They're my 2 favorites. But
you guys definitely got
funky
some
shit's like such. Sorry to interrupt. I'm just saying funky shit. Like as far as a DJ tool, is just such a great tune to play with, man. Like, you know, it's like, it's not really a listening tune for me personally, but like
it's a dance floor tune.
To play it on the turntables, like you can mash it up with like 3 different tunes at the same time, and like it just, I don't know, for me it's just so much fun. So
I've actually heard some rumors that there's a few remixes floating around. There's I'm not gonna mention why, but there's a Know Thyself remix you mentioned the other day, which
yes. There. I mean, I have yet to hear it. I know it exists.
Wow.
I've seen an Instagram video of like 2 seconds of it that a friend tagged us in from a show. I don't want to give any details out. I'm really excited about this though. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Know Thyself remix incoming from someone that, oh man, it's an honor. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
What about the funky shit remix?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That one we can. Yes. Take a remix. He went.
There's 2 actually. Have you heard the Cold Cuts version as well?
Yes, and that one is a banger. Oof.
He's just sending over the pre-master at the moment. So
I need that. I haven't got that one.
Yeah, I've only heard it on SoundCloud, like no download or anything. So. It's just like, it sounds fucking a perfect mixture of the 2 styles as well. Like it's like definitely Cold Cuts, but he's kept the original vibe. And then the Ternion's fucking banger.
It's so fun having other people remix your stuff too. It's just super rewarding to be like, what is this person going to take with our original idea and just turn it into something else? It's like so fun.
Yeah. I got over the weekend, got to play some gigs, which was fucking blessing being in New Zealand, and Cartridge sent over a remix of a tune.
I know that one.
Like crazy big. I was like, whoa, like really flip this on its head, and it sounds amazing. So
if it is the tune that I think you're talking about, it's we have a live stream this Friday on the 4th called Jingle Bass, I believe, and I recorded a mix last night for it, and that's the first tune in the mix.
Oh, cool. Yes. Oh yeah. Well, yeah, and our followers will know about that soon enough. If you're a band,
that's a big one. That's a big one.
You'll be exposed to those very soon.
Excellent. I also wanted to ask you while you were talking about that. So you've played some shows, Tristan. Can you tell us about your area of the world and how things are there?
Well, it's so back in, it was July, New Zealand kind of like eradicated COVID from community, and there was just a whole massive flurry of huge gigs, like a whole bunch of sold out gigs, people going crazy. Everyone's been pent up for like a few months.
Oh yeah.
And there's some crazy ones, and then a whole like 6 months of touring were planned out, and there was another outbreak of COVID, so it all got shut down again. A bunch of gigs got cancelled or postponed, and then a few more happened, then they happened again. So currently we're now it's been November, which has been open in December. Currently we're still good. So it's a weird feeling, like there's really cool gigs, but then there's also like a lot of gigs, because all the gigs that were postponed and cancelled are now in 1 month. So like in Auckland, there's been like 3 drum and bass gigs a night in Auckland.
Yeah, is that where just like Alex Perez and Headland, they just had their shows?
There's in Christchurch.
That's
where I live right now. That's where I am right now.
Awesome.
Yeah, there's some really cool shit happening, and like we're lucky. We're just hoping that everything manages to remain contained.
For sure.
Can't take it for granted. That's learned that for sure. And this month it's a lot less like celebration and more like nervous energy. you know, we're able to see our friends and family, which is like, you know, you guys can't even see your fucking family, which is just, I can't imagine, like, it's been so long now. And yeah, especially like now it's coming into proper winter. It must be like getting pretty hard over there, you know, like. But everyone seems to be, you know, finding their own ways to cope or to roll with things. So like, yeah, I'm definitely feeling grateful every time I manage to play a gig and get to hear music on speakers. And like, yeah. But also feeling weird. It's weird. Like, I went to the New Zealand Music Awards a few weeks ago because we were nominated for an award. And
congratulations.
Cheers. But it felt weird because there was a little bit of like this community kind of like risk of community transmission happening, and then there's this massive like event with like all these people, and it's just like, are we really being safe by being here? You know what I mean? Like, so it's kind of
like guilty partying energy. You're like, yeah,
exactly. And the
government, there's no need for it though, because like you guys have closed the country and fucking not leaving. And so like, yeah,
absolutely,
people need to just celebrate because everywhere else is miserable.
Yeah, it's fucked. And like, you know, there's like rolling I mean, like, you know, the UK's back in lockdown, like the States, everything's just getting worse and worse. It's just fucking crazy. Like, we might have thought like a few months ago, oh yes, things like seem like they're on the, you know, on the way out now, and it's just like,
for real, yeah. Everybody got really relaxed for a minute, and now it's crazy again. But
so I mean, and doubling down on things like the Patreon and all that kind of stuff is art, you know, like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure,
it's been definitely like, you know, helping to put food on the table, quite literally. Wow, there's not shows to play. On a positive note, looking so forward to next year, and hopefully when things will improve, I have a good feeling. I don't like to linger on, you know, obviously I like, you know, not trying to ignore the reality of the USA and the world necessarily, but we got to plan ahead, like, you know, especially if you're trying to do a proper tour. That planning starts 6 months or more in advance. So like we're trying to be as cautious as possible and like preemptively plan as much stuff as we can, and include, you know, clauses and stuff in the contracts that basically say like, we're gonna feel this out and we don't want them to lose money, or for us we're not trying to benefit off of the fact that like if we have to cancel the show. But like include clauses that keep everyone safe, so that like we can still pull out if things are still bad, but if things improve by the time the show happens, then it's possible.
Yeah, it's tough to make decisions, you know, when you just don't know what the future holds. Everything's so fluid right now. The whole situation is constantly changing, you know. 1 minute you're thinking, oh yeah, in a couple of months it'll be all over, and then couple of months rolls in and you're like, damn, it's got worse. And it's just like, such a frustrating situation for people, you know, when especially,
I'm sure,
you
Dre,
know,
you've had a whole bunch of offers and stuff coming, Dre, and you've had to say no, like it's not the time to take these offers, like, you know, doing everything else.
Oh yeah, we've turned down so many shows over the past. The offers actually like never stop coming in from some places, you know, like there are certain states that just keep like doing shows and making offers for gigs, and we're just like, it's a global pandemic. Like, I don't think we should be doing this. You know, we basically, there was only one show the whole year that we took, and you know, like I said before, is that Revive one. The only reason we took it is because it was very well organized in terms of being socially distanced. You know, they had a hotel, and everybody was partying from their hotel room balconies, and it was actually pretty awesome, man. They did a really good job. So, you know, I think as time passes, people are going to adapt, and, you know, there are going to be things that piss people off. Like, you know, there probably will be testing at big events. There will be people asking if you've had a COVID test or whatever. There'll be like, you know, those on the door tests where you have to wait like 2 minutes in a kind of holding room before you're allowed into an event. There's all kinds of things they're going to try and pull, but you know, I just think the sooner we can fix it all up and get back on track, the better, without putting people's lives at risk.
When it does come back, it'll be crazy. Like, it's just going to be crazy.
Oh yeah, that's a lovely subject to talk about for sure. Is like I've honestly cried a couple of times just thinking about like you're putting yourself at your favorite festival and you just got done playing and your friends are there and everybody's emotional because like you're just seeing them again, and like that imagery is like something that's totally keeping us going right now. It's like imagining how good it's going to be when we get to come back and play shows again.
Totally.
Do you find that like, sorry to like keep hijacking the questions, but I just made me think about like the fact we've all been, or a lot of people have been sort of in this isolated state and like not being able to play shows. It's obviously affecting the kind of music that people are producing. Like, found that for you guys, like, I mean, Dre and I have like just pretty much wrapped up a whole EP of like much more instrumental, much more like vibey kind of like chill tunes that we like love, and we've just been playing shows the whole time. We probably wouldn't have made as many of that kind of sound, you know. Like, do you find this similar thing for you guys, or is it, are you getting out your anger and your angst and like angry music? How have you been channeling that energy?
Well, I will definitely say, while we're on the subject too, it's been really interesting to see, you know, some artists are like just kind of saying like just entirely pause on everything. Some people are like, you know, now's my time to just retire because I'm not feeling it anymore. And like it's really all over the board. Like it's definitely hard to write exciting music, like dance floor music, when you can't enjoy it on the dance floor.
That's right.
So it's definitely kind of pushing us in different directions from like just writing really heavy aggressive music. So exploring other avenues for sure, and like different sort of vibes with the music, and like, you know, continuing to be super inspired by everybody who is just cranking out production. And like it's also amazing to see on the other side of things, like Bandcamp Fridays, and like so much music is getting released, like LPs, compilations, EPs, singles. It's like all the artists who were so dependent on getting a full record label release are like, wait, I can just do a Bandcamp and like see what I can get, you know. And so like everybody is putting out tons of music, and so that feels like the scene is totally there and healthy and thriving with what we can do, in a sense.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way, bro. What you said in terms of, you know, the whole, making music for dance floors versus making music to listen to. And like, you know, Tristan and I have always been really into deeper, kind of more melancholic music. Like we both kind of have, like, we have different tastes, but we actually like a lot of this similar kind of like vibe. You know, like we have different tastes in bands and stuff, but you know, some of the vibes are quite similar in the sense that we like the deeper melancholic stuff, and that's what we both really enjoy making too. And you know, I love making the party tunes, but like you said, it's really hard finding the motivation. Like I was, you know, when you're doing 100 fucking shows a year or whatever it is, and you're constantly on the road and you're playing to crowds, you want to make, you need ammo, you know, you need lots of ammo for your set. You want the fat dub plates, you want the bangers, you want to be able to play shit that's going to make the crowd go wild. You know, we've been sitting here at home for bloody 10 months now, and you just, I don't know, that same kind of energy for me. Like I've made like a couple of like kind of heavier tunes during the pandemic, and they're dope, and I'm excited to like test them like next year at festivals, but I like haven't really been listening to them or anything. All the deeper stuff we've made, I've been far more excited about, you know, and it's just, it's kind of cool because it means, you know, we've actually got an excuse to like just stop and slow down, take a breath and go, all right, let's make some shit we enjoy, and not just like, you know, not that I don't enjoy the heavy shit, that shit's really fun, but you know, it's kind of a breath of fresh air in some respects, not having to like just make stuff that like to keep the dance floor happy, you know what I mean?
Totally.
The other thing as well that,
even with that too, what was I just gonna say? No, Tristan, go ahead, say your thing.
I was just gonna say, like, when you know, when I listen to music, I want to hear shit that's like, that's coming from like an emotion that's usually not necessarily a happy emotion. When I listen to, you know, my favorite music, it's usually like got some kind of like, not bad vibes, but sort of sadness in it. And like the situation we're in now, like as much as it's shit, it's also kind of inspirational in the respect that like everything's fucked and you can really draw off that. Like as a musician, like I've always found like when I've been my happiest in my general like life, and which is, and now is an exception, but like generally in the past, favorite stuff I've made is when I felt the worst in my personal life. And then I go into the studio and like, it's like an escape for like 5 hours, and then don't think about that bad shit, and then I make something that I love, and I put everything into it. And so I feel like that's not the same for everyone, but for some people at least, like this horrible situation that people are stuck in is also a chance, well, not a chance, but it's making music or doing their art is an opportunity to like escape from it. So they're going to create something that's really personal to them.
Totally.
Like that's
definitely. That's how I felt like the first few months of the pandemic. I was like, awesome, fucking like at first super disappointed, depressed for like first couple of months. We're broke, had no money, figured out how to adapt and shit. But like after that initial kind of depressive state of being like everything's cancelled, we're fucked, I was real excited for a couple of months, and I was like, cool, this is my chance to really lock down and get into it. I feel like now after like months and months of it, I'm like, I need to get out of here. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like back to like, like that exciting phase of like, this is only going to be a few months, then it's going to go away. And it's like, when's this shit going to end? It's kind of
serious.
Yeah.
We found like so much. I think Andrew and I definitely work well under pressure of like having a timeline with, all right, you got a show on Friday. Can you push out a whole tune? And especially like if it's somewhere you're really excited to play. I did see some people asking about sound systems. We'll get to that in a second. But like having that motivation of, you get to hear the thing that you just made on that system, and like imagine, I feel like there's so much that pushes us with just imagining the end result, or like what's it going to be like at the show, and to hear it on like full sound and everything. Someone's asking about favorite sound systems that you've ever played on. Oh boy. I don't know if there is a number one in this category. That feels a little bit unfair. I think the best sound system I've heard, custom sound, Sinai, no doubt.
Yeah.
That rig is destructive. I have not heard RC1 unfortunately yet, but I would love to someday.
Yeah. I've played on both those sound systems quite a few times, and they are actually quite similar. Like they've got that really kind of heavy fucking, like I don't know, they're not like, they're very much dub sound system speakers, and they sound really good with like the deeper tunes sound way heavier on them. They're not like, they're very, very different sounding to like a Function One or a Void speaker, in terms of the clarity and all that. But man, they fucking pop.
They're both fucking banging, the systems. Yeah.
And just dope crews. I love all those guys. It's cool to see like sound system crews like pushing their thing. And the UK's got a great kind of culture of that. There's lots of really good sound systems all around the UK, Scotland as well, and Europe and everything. Germany's got a massive sound system scene. And it's really dope to see the United States finally like giving a fuck about sound systems. Because, and I don't mean like, I don't mean nobody in America ever gave a fuck about sound systems, because plenty of people did. But what I do mean is when we first started touring here in 2010, people were putting us in rooms with fucking like a surround sound, like Bose system, like around the fucking, like in a restaurant or some shit. You know what I mean? Like there were people putting in big sound systems in clubs, and then there were other people like literally like giving us like 2 monitors, and they just didn't get it. They'd spend all this money on the event, lasers, visuals. Look at our visuals guy, he's gonna video map this and blah blah blah. I'm like, where's the sound system, bro?
Seriously.
Now, in the past 5 or 6 years, I feel like that's really changed, like the culture within the like American, like, I don't even want to say EDM scene because I fucking hate that term. But the whole American music electronic scene is like it's become a lot more kind of accompanied to the sound system culture. And people are like now saying on event pages and stuff, what kind of sound system is it going to be? Like, most people only know like Function One or like PK or whatever. It's not a proper like sound system culture, but at least people care about the sound.
But I mean, those systems both have like a pretty fucking serious. I mean,
oh yeah,
Shout out to like PK for like coming from nowhere like 15 years ago, like
oh man, we love
shit.
PK. I mean, yeah, they're crushing it out of bloody Canada, West Canada, Alberta, I think, is it? Yeah, we love the whole PK crew, and they've always I remember playing on the first time on a PK system. I think it was at Shambhala, and like it was just one of the best sets I've ever played. And it was because of the sound system, you know, just every you know, when the tunes just hit and you're DJing and it fucking just sounds so good, and you just get into, you kind of get lost in it, man. Like PK, when it's set up right, a good PK system is really good like that. You know? So yeah, mad respect to those guys for sure.
Hennessy as well, like Sean Hennessy, fucking like.
Love. Yeah, I've always said if I was to buy like a sound system, like I'd love to get like a DDD, like Hennessy custom, you know, like
it's purple already.
Yeah, and just get some like really cool, you know.
And we love the Hennessy rigs too. Shout out to Seamus out in Chicago. His rigs are always super proper. Shout out to Sean Hennessy. It's been really fun, like following, you know, Function One, of course, like, you know, amazing, well-established UK sound system brand.
Oh yeah.
All of these, it feels like, you know, PK and Hennessy specifically, even like Void, I wasn't super familiar with until maybe like 5 years ago or something, or Danley even, and like they feel like the, not to say smaller brands, but it's been amazing, like watching them grow from like, you know, you see them pop up because of some ad or whatever, or an artist that you're already following is like, you know, has it on the flyer, like this little PK thing.
Yeah,
it's been really fun to watch, specifically like PK and Hennessy grow from like, you know, we're a small speaker company in Canada, and we're working with like Excision and Datsik because they're local, and doing stuff with them because they're growing artists, to then being like, you know, the main systems at the majority of like major EDM festivals in the United States is like, that's incredible. So big up to them for like the huge growth.
Oh yeah,
super excited. And in fact, unless Jack and Andrew have played on a PK rig, we haven't played on one yet, and I'm really excited to hear that.
Kidding me?
I know, no, seriously, and we've met some people who've worked for them, and they've told us some really amazing things about, you know, the technology behind what's going into the speakers, and that's something that's like, it's this amazing balance of taking influence from like a classic, even like a reggae dub sound system, and incorporating old school and like well-known elements about sound systems, and using new technology to balance out like, you know, this future and past. It's crazy. Yeah, the gravities, exactly. That's what we're talking about. This guy Ben, who lives in the UK now, he worked with PK for a while, and was just trying, even, you know, the technology was totally over our heads, but he was explaining how they have, like, there's an infrared laser that's measuring how much the cone flaps, and just like, it was like, holy shit.
Oh yeah, we were at the Village the first year they tested the gravities and the whole the new speakers, and they had like the craziest fucking rack of them in the Village.
Yeah.
And it sounded just like insane. You know, I get, it was probably like the bassiest, like cleanest hit of energy, sound energy hitting my chest I've ever felt, apart from maybe the Void Incubus, which is Outlook. The one that Outlook at the Fort. I actually played on that same, the one that we always play at the Fort, the Incubus system. I played, is that what it's called? The Incubus? I'm pretty sure it looks crazy.
Yeah, it's Incubus. Yeah.
Yeah. I played on the Incubus in Manchester in the UK in a warehouse, and that same sound system, but inside. And I swear to God, bro, like the amount of sonic energy hitting you. My problem was when I was DJing, I just couldn't stop scratching my face. Like the bass was, you know when the bass like makes your nose flap, and like my nose is like flapping, and like I was like itching my face like a crackhead or something. You know, I was like, the vibrations of making my face itchy. That's how. It's insane, the amount of power, dude.
That Incubus rig has like, I mean, the dude like at the Village, not the Village, at fucking the Void stage at Outlook, and chatting to like one of the owners of Void, and he was explaining the physics behind how that sub works, and it's got like some crazy way of like airflow where it like sucks in air through the front as it's like moving, so they can like overdrive the drivers by like 20% more than any other company. That's what he was saying, at least. So they can get more power out of the same drivers through the way they cool their shit. It's like pretty fucking interesting, eh? Like, I was like, why is it's such a weird shape? He's like, oh no, it's all to do with the airflow movement coming through.
Yeah.
There's so much behind it. Another person shout out Danley. Those guys, like, yeah, make some pretty amazing shit.
Danley are awesome. Some
like pretty amazing, like kind of, it's either open source or just like open plan designs. I think it's on Speaker Lab or something like that, where people like Danley have gone and like put some of their old designs, and like there's a lot of systems that use that shit. A lot of home built systems. I mean, shouts out to Christchurch here in New Zealand. There's like 3 or 4 like pretty fucking respectable systems now.
Yeah,
it's a little town. Like it's a worldwide culture.
It's dope, man.
Really
Someone was asking, where did you play in Manchester? Well, we've played in Manchester so many different times, haven't we, over the years. I'm trying to think, what was the last place we played, Tristan? And it was like
the one we played. There was that one. It was
crazy, like abandoned building kind of thing. Like
a little bit out of town. Like it was in town. It was kind of on the outskirts.
It's like industrial.
The time before that, I played was like Antwerp Mansion.
Oh yeah, I played in Antwerp Mansion.
Crazy
that's
place.
Weird. That's literally an old house that has been kind of gutted out, and it's just a party house. And they just put a sound system in there, and turned it into a venue. It's just crazy. Yeah,
it's pretty dope. Yeah, what was that place? It was real. It was like industrial as fuck. But it's obviously
so cool.
There's like pianos in the back rooms, and like.
Well, they had all that. They had all the Void system from Outlook stored in there in the back room. Remember that? And he's like, "This is the Incubus for."
That's right. Yeah.
And we were like smoking a joint in the little like back area with
the storage
the Void
area
system in the storage. It was
Jesus.
Yeah, that was cool. Anyway. We've got some lots of questions here. Eh?
Yeah, you guys feel like if you want to ask any questions, just go for it.
Yeah, pick up everyone that's just joined us.
That's a Mitch Wilton.
Out to Hypho. Hypho's from Manchester.
Yeah, man. There's a bit of a crazy Manchester like producer scene right now. Like, Cartridge, Biome, Lamper, Hypho. Who else have I forgotten? Like, there's
Strategy.
Yeah, Strategy, obviously, and he's like making sick beats and an amazing MC. Like,
Manchester's always had an awesome music scene. There's lots of good producers from up there, from the north.
Yeah,
it's the tough old north. You know, everything's fucking. It's tough up there. You know, a bit colder, a bit harsher. The people are.
Yeah,
they got thicker skin, man. Biome's just like, it's crazy how much music that guy has. He disappeared for a few years.
Well, he was doing levels.
Yeah, he's doing the whole levels.
On fire.
Yeah, Teffa too. But you know, Biome is just like a guy who we met actually like in Manchester, didn't we, Tristan? And he came up to us at the show, and this is probably 10 years ago, and he gave us
his manager.
CD, and it was a like CD, and it just said Biome on it, and each track was like it was like in Polish or some shit. It was like the tracks were titled like blah blah blah, all in weird language.
I think no, it's because they gave me a CD so we got the CD, and I was staying at my friend's house in London. His wife was Polish.
That's why. Okay.
To rip the tracks, so then I could like save them, and then it named them with like a Polish title. So I didn't know what the tracks were.
Well, we didn't even know who Biome was, and I saw and I was just like, oh, cool, he must be some crazy Polish dude. And for like 5 years, I was like, oh yeah, Biome, he's this Polish guy, and then like we met him, and he's like, hello. I was like, what? Those tunes are still like so sick. I don't even know any of the names of them. I don't even know if they even got released. But
some
awesome.
It was the first introduction. We were at a party, I think, after party, and the manager was like, biomes manager.
Yeah. Yeah, Tiff is awesome too. I think Tiff is from London, right? We've been playing a lot of his tracks.
Yeah, Tiff is sick.
Someone was asking why I'm not going back to New Zealand. It's mainly just because of the whole kind of quarantine thing. It's like you got to fly back, stay quarantined for 2 weeks, and pay $3,000. And obviously, I don't. If I'm going to go back, I can't stay for that long because I live and work in the United States. So that's kind of why.
How would you get your partner back? You can't really move. You've got pets. You can't move back. It's like there's a whole fucking.
It's a nightmare. We've put all our roots down here for now, so that's why. Just also, what else? Spectrum saying Q nightclub in Seattle has an F1 system.
Man.
Function 1. Lots of Function 1 systems and clubs all over America now. It's pretty impressive. Big up all things dub. Big up Bitchcraft, Leader Lotus.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Large enough, distinct motive.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Can someone please rewrite People Just Do Nothing, but it's set in the US? But it's also about a tiny dubstep scene instead of UK garage. Dude, I know so many perfect candidates for that if we ever were to do it.
Remember that.
Yeah. Seriously.
That's a Johnny Dub. Legend. Any other questions? Just looking through the Facebook chat just to see if anything. That was a whole bunch. Who's the youngest member of Ternion Sound?
That would be moi, myself.
You're the baby, are you?
Oh yeah, baby of my family, baby of the group.
Yeah.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
That's a good
idea.
Middle East.
Are you guys like as far as live streams and stuff? Have you got much coming up?
Just a few things. There's one on Friday called Jingled Bass. And it's just for like a smaller production company. We like taking, even if it's not, they can't all be as amazing as Deep, Dark, and Dangerous streams, but we like, being able to support smaller production companies too. So we got one on Friday, and then there'll be at least one more in December that we're still trying to nail down the date. But that'll be another Hypo and Friends or Manuka stuff. And we also have another tune coming out on their label.
Yeah, I was about to say. I thought I heard about that. Yeah.
Yes, more the 130, like the garagey two-steppy stuff. That's gonna keep coming.
It's fun to make, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's super fun.
Yeah. Love changing the tempo.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, bring up Manuka.
Oh, I should talk about this. Thank you for plugging that, Lisa.
Sick.
Ternion Selects is our every other week bi-weekly mix. It's on SoundCloud. It's a whole different channel. It's under Ternion Selects. Super proud of Ternion Selects. So that's basically think of it as like Noisia Radio, except it's 90% dubstep instead of drum and bass. So I'm always trying to host pretty much all the shows. And I'm trying to, take all of the promo that we get and exclusives from people and showcasing that to everybody so that we can all, it's like helping promote these artists who are have releases coming up, as well as plugging our new stuff that we're releasing. And we also, I'm going to get this Discord link while we're chatting. We have a Discord channel that is going awesome. It's super fun keeping in touch with everybody on our Discord. And we actually do, on the same Sunday that Ternion Selects goes live, we stream the whole episode with extra commentary to our Discord channel exclusively. And so it's super fun. And then after we play the mix, which is just a half an hour long, then afterwards, like, people can play their music and plug and play whatever they want.
That's wicked.
It's been really dope having a lot of producers in the Discord too, because people are showcasing a lot of their own whips, and they're really good. And so it's super
really
fun.
Cool.
Next one is this Sunday evening, probably around 8 p.m. Central. If you want to tune in, I'm gonna get that.
That's awesome. Might come check that out.
Yes, and we just started having guests on too, so we'd love to have you guys if you're available.
Nice, definitely, man. Yeah, we've actually had our Discord set up for like probably a month now, and we still haven't launched it, Dre. Like, we need to.
Yeah.
Shit.
Wow.
Right. Too many things. Too many things. Yeah, it's all set up and ready to go. But
someone was asking, All Things Dub was asking, why isn't it usually just two of you guys playing shows when you do shows?
Great question. It's a lot of stuff. So as far as playing shows, the biggest cost for us to go play places is, of course, getting flights. So, and a lot of the time, just another inside info. Oh my God, it's a car. Okay, it's fine. A lot of the time, well, let's just put it this way. Jack and I have service industry jobs, or we did when we were employed. COVID, thanks. And so we are always excited to get out on the road. It's like, I could come back and work at this restaurant whenever, but I would rather go and be out playing and doing music full time. That's still the dream, of course. It's like just music. That is it. Andrew, he's got his wife and his house and a dog now. He likes being the homebody a little bit more than we do. So he's more comfortable staying at home so we can save a little bit of money or like make a little bit more money on the show. And still get out, and we still are represented, and we kind of like that it's more of a surprise a lot of the time. Is like, who's it gonna be, what are they gonna play? We each kind of have our own styles, even if we're playing a Ternion sound set. I try and balance out a lot of the darker, more minimal stuff with playing aggressive music. Jack definitely likes to like dive down, we call it the tunnel, so he's like really spooky, minimal sound designy shit. Andrew, he kind of ends up leaning towards the heavier stuff. So that's like gives our sets, even if you're seeing a Ternion sound set, you probably won't hear the same set ever. And so a lot of it is, budget dependent on where we're playing. Sometimes there are shows that we all just want to go to, even if we're going to like lose money or something. Sometimes a show is so special. Like, going over to Europe was like, we're not expecting to come home with a huge profit or like, if we can just go do this tour and break even, it'll be worth it. We'll come back in a year and better than that.
Sounds like Outlook Festival, like going there, obviously.
Exactly. Like you're not expecting a paycheck, but it's just about the experience and the exposure and, being with that community is like, this is where everyone is right now who's doing this. So we all need to go there.
That's right. And we feel, we can relate to that being a part of a duo, over the years, there's been so many times Tristan and I have had to, call the shot on who's going to a show just because, the promoter's like, I can only afford one flight and one hotel room, or, it might be like, Tristan once did a tour around South America, and we literally had to flip a coin to see who gets to go around South America. You know what I mean? Or like, there's been festivals I've got to play, and Tristan's had to stay out, and vice versa. So we feel that as a duo, and we used to be three people too. So back in the very early days of Truth, there was three of us. So it's even trickier when you got three. But that's cool that you've each kind of got your roles, and you each kind of bring your own thing to the table. And when you do get to all play together, it makes it even more special, doesn't it? Yeah. There's two questions here in the chat, both of which are kind of like linked, and I wanted to like combine them together. So Spectrum said, heard you guys came together from a bunch of different genres. Where would you say everyone came from? And then Don Hyphy said, you guys kind of came out of left field with a lot of hype behind you. What's the story behind Ternion Sound and how you guys debuted the project? So I guess those two are linked.
Yeah, definitely. As far as like how we came together, not so much like entirely different genres by any means, but Andrew, his classic email address is like D&D nostalgia. So he was making drum and bass, like jump up, bro step. Jack was, originally producing and still sometimes does like more gabber, IDM, hardcore. I kind of got into electronic music later than them for sure. So I immediately was introduced to like house and trance, and that was way before I was a DJ and just like listening to that kind of stuff. And then I found I found dubstep. Somebody showed it to me, and I was like, this is cool, because I was really into metal at the time and was a metal drummer. That's my music background, is playing the drums. And so it was always like, super low. I love the energy from metal shows, and like it was just really refreshing, and it was loud, it was slow or really fast, and it was really low.
So would you say, as a quick little insert there, would you say like the metal drumming helped you learn your like finger drumming for like little fills you do?
Oh, of course, absolutely. I mean,
on a serious note, like, do the other guys play musical instruments? Like, I mean, you've obviously said you play drums. Are there any other musical?
Not from, I was like singing and drums for me. Andrew, I don't think he like did an instrument. He was always like, the other two are nerdier than I, for sure. And they were like computer music day one, like OG video games and blah, blah, blah. Anyways, as far as like our, how we came together too, but so we all had found electronic music at some point, and were started to get active. I was playing, when I started DJing, I was playing like rhythm, like OG rhythm and bro step, a little bit of the heavier bro step, but a lot of like the, chopping old monsters and all that kind of stuff. That was my favorite stuff at the time. And then I just kept finding or being introduced to deeper music and older music, but it was still like, it felt so refreshing even if it was old. And that still continues to be a thing, is like looking backwards and taking and pulling influence from all this old music that is so inspirational. But we kind of came together playing that kind of style of music, so the more aggressive side of dubstep, and that's where we met each other, in Minneapolis, playing shows, and became familiar. Andrew and Jack actually collabed a couple times on, and had a couple of releases on Prime Audio, like as like together, but not as a project. So Nostalgia, Johnny Foreplay, and then Infrasound is ultimately what made us all like, this could be a thing, like the three of us.
Okay.
And it was Infrasound 2016. I can't tell you how many times I've told this story, but it never gets old. Infrasound 2016 was like the muddiest year ever. It was incredible. They had switched locations, and logistics were a total nightmare, and that was super out of their control just because the weather was terrible. It just rained way before, like for 2 weeks straight before the festival even started. And then we all got there, and it was just insane. But it was like one of those, it felt like you were on Survivor, except there just happened to be an amazing Function One system right over here. Like you were like, oh my God, this is crazy. And the wind and the rain and mud, and like getting to the next stage was like a whole damn journey. And like, but so we're at this insane festival. And of course, like some artists couldn't make it or even get there because they had to be at the stage that was 2 miles away, and there's like just mud, and it was crazy. So somebody else, it was AXH, who couldn't make it for his set, or like if something with a flight or transportation. And we were all at the beach stage, which was at a tiny little pond. There was no beach, but was called the beach stage. And we were familiar with some of the promoters and the Infrasound people, and they asked us if we wanted to fill in. And then like Andrew and Jack were talking, and then they asked me to play too. And so that was the first time we all three like played together, and it was just, the energy was nuts. And we played like some Whittler tunes and Requake, and like then some rhythmy stuff, and it was just kind of all over the place. But we just had so much fun playing with each other, and we're comfortable. And it was like, that was the spark that was like, what if we made a group and like tried to do something different? And then we were originally going to write really heavy music right off the bat, because that's what we were like the most familiar with. But Jack and I were already playing a lot more deep stuff in our sets, and like really attracted to the openness of that scene. Like the people in it seemed really real, and like the settings, and we'd all become familiar with Submission, and that was like definitely a huge factor of like, this is the vibe. We like this. We like big sound, dark room. You don't need the production. Just like, if it's there, great. But like, it's sound, not hype. And so that definitely was like, okay, we're going to do like a deep end project, keep it, take influence from old school and use modern sound design. And so like meeting in the middle, that's kind of like the whole focus of the group, essentially.
Dude, that really, like, I mean, what you just said then, like, actually sums up when Dre and I first heard you guys tuned, and we were talking about them. That's exactly what we said. It's like, a lot of this music rose back to like the nostalgia of like older tunes, but it sounds like it's being produced right now. And like, it's almost like every track that you guys come out with, it's recognizable in its own right as its own, you know, like you can hear that it's by you guys, but every single track has its own identity and it's also got this nostalgic vibe to it in some ways, but then it's like banging and like on point with production. So I think what you just said as far as like the description of the music absolutely encapsulates what you've done. So I mean, big up, because, you know, like obviously that was your intention, and I feel like you definitely achieved that to where you are now.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right, Dre was the one that said it. I'm just quoting him, actually. I think he said it out loud, and I was like, yes, that's exactly right.
Well, I mean, look, you guys always remind me of like us when we were younger. You know, we're old cunts now. We're just a couple of old dudes with fucking, you know, back in the day we were young little whippersnappers too. And you guys really like remind me of like what Truth was like when we first started back in New Zealand. And
that's awesome.
When we first started touring. So like the minute I kind of like seen that and seen how you guys vibe and what you're about, I was like, yeah, that's really cool, man. It reminds me of like what we used to kind of be like, not obviously very different. I'm just saying, like, just kind of it reminded me of that, and that was nice. It's kind of, you know, memories. Good to see like three young dudes getting together and like all motivated, all different kind of backgrounds, and kind of just going for it. So that's pretty dope.
It's fun, and it's like we all definitely feel good working together because even, you know, getting to know each other before the group project was like, I feel like these guys, you know, they want to do something with music and go somewhere. Big up Jay Leon in the chat also. And like they wanted to, like, you know, be forward thinking and not just be like, oh, it wasn't just a hobby for them. They were taking things seriously. And Andrew, before that, like, oh, this is a fun little quick story too. When I started going to shows, Andrew was like direct support for Downlink at a Rotten Records showcase in Minneapolis, and he totally slayed that set. And I was like the new guy in the front row on the wall of PKs, just like, what the fuck is this? This is incredible.
Wow.
So I was like, who's that dude? You played an awesome set. And then I found out that, oh my gosh, this guy lives in Minneapolis and goes to school in St. Paul, and he has a club about producing electronic music. And this is right at the same time when I was like, I didn't like what I was going to school for before, and really knew that I liked music, but felt kind of guilty about going to school for it, because a lot of times in America, like, I don't know, there's definitely like people in school, and maybe this is just my experience, but a lot of people are like, well, of course, this is the beaten path that you must follow. Like, you go to high school, and then you go to college, and then you get a job. And it's like, I didn't want to, you know, I knew I wanted to do music, even if it was riskier. And so Andrew is one of those people that was like, look, here's this guy. See, he's doing that. He's doing the thing he wanted to do. And so I followed him, and just like, even before I went to the same music school that he was at, he was, you know, I got in contact with him, and he was like letting me in the door of this college that I did not attend yet, just to go to his like producer club, just because I was like so wanting to learn and get involved and do stuff. So shout out Andrew, huge inspiration. Yeah. And now, super full circle, like being in a group with these people who were my inspiration is like, this is crazy. I feel so lucky. But goes to show, just got to go after it, whatever that thing is. Just
chase the dream.
And someone asked a question on the chat, like, how did you guys come up with your name, Ternion Sound?
Great question. Ternion meaning three, so like three sound, the sound of three. Yeah. And I mean, kind of a simple story, but we waited on the name for a long time because we really wanted to pick something that was, you know, something we hadn't heard before, and felt, I was like having an artist name that is open enough to where, you know, we could produce kind of any genre with that name. I was so, it's so funny. Like, let's say you're a metal band and your name is like Brutal Death Punch. It's like, you can't go out and, or maybe you could now, but you know, people see Brutal Death Punch, they're not going to think, well, of course he makes, you know, country music or whatever. It's like, of course you make music. So having an artist name that was open enough to like, Ternion Sound doesn't, if you hear that and aren't familiar, like maybe you don't think dubstep specifically, it could be anything.
You think like Old English folk or something.
Yeah. Oh, the Untitled. Right. Exactly. So we debated over it for a while and tossed around a bunch of names, but then somebody just found the word Ternion, and it was like we knew we wanted to do something with 3, and then it was like, all right, this is it. Are we doing it? And I was like, hell yeah, let's stick to it.
Nice.
Stop.
Recognizable.
Truth. How did you come up with truth?
It's a secret. If we told you, we'd have to
It's
kill
a
you.
secret.
I can't know the truth.
Over time, I guess the meaning has changed. So I can't remember how he actually came up with it. But
The story's changed many times over the years.
Yes. Effectively, to me at least, it's the idea behind truth is actually more like the idea that there's like infinite truths out there, and none of them are really the truth. Like you can have whatever facts you want to believe these days, someone's going to believe it. So it's more of the idea that there is no truth. It's in my mind at least one.
Well, yeah, I feel like it's more like, what is your truth?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like everybody has a different truth. You know, one man's truth is like, you know, not true for another person. Who knows? So I'm just saying.
Well, I
was going to say it's a lie, but I don't want to like go there because you know it's a bit sensitive to say one man's truth, another man's lie.
Another man's treasure.
Yeah, but you know, at the end of the day,
you can't handle the truth.
It's a big name. It's a big name, and like, you know, I've actually literally had like people come up to me like angry, and they're like, "Why? You called yourself truth. You can't call yourself truth." It's like, why?
I think you're right about everything. It's like, no, you're
no,
assholes.
Like, because it's such a meaningful word, you know. Like, truth is a very kind of, you know, it's very, and like I can kind of see where they're coming from, but I'm just like, nah, fuck off. Like, we can call ourselves whatever the fuck we want, mate.
Yeah, and we were like for years and years before that, we were doing drum and bass. We were running a promotion company here in Christchurch for like 7 or 8 years prior to that, and we were under the name Urban Motion, which wasn't our production name, a promotion company name, touring D&B artists around New Zealand. And we just kind of like started being called that for our production. And for years and years, we were trying to find a better name as producers.
Yeah.
And we couldn't do it. We just like couldn't come up with anything we preferred. And then the day we made a dubstep tune, we're like, what can we call ourselves? And we're like, what about Truth? And it's like, yeah, it's like
it was mind blowing that there were no other artists called Truth. There's literally like
we researched it pretty hard.
Band. Yeah, like at the time
there's a gospel band, I think.
There's a gospel band, and
it's
there's
always like Christian rock something, right?
I mean, gospel means truth in Hebrew, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but it means something like.
It was like a barbershop quartet kind of gospel thing, and then there was like a death metal band from like Norway with 23 fans on Facebook on MySpace, and we were like, do we risk it calling ourselves that? Fuck it. And
and plus we didn't really have an idea. Like we thought, like, oh yeah, it's just a side project to like our drum and bass thing. But then we ended up never making drum and bass again. Like, you know, every time we get to the studio, we just make.
You can thank Marla for that. Marla literally like knocked on my door one morning, and I answered the door like in my underwear, like half drunk, and he was just like, "Hello, I'm Marla. Welcome."
Oh my god,
Dubstep." What? I'm not joking. Like we literally went from like 100% drum and bass, like eat, breathe, shit drum and bass, like to like Marla knocking on the door one morning.
Sounds like he's like shows up in his robe. He's like, "Dre, I have a mission for you."
No, I swear to God, it's literally like you could fucking write a fucking like book about it, and it seemed like that. Like he literally just rolls in. My friend Vanessa had one of my best friends that I grew up with. My oldest friend actually, Vanessa. I've known her since she was 4 years old. Yeah. She met up with Marla in the show in Wellington, in another city in New Zealand, and they flew down together to Christchurch, where we live, our hometown. And she landed in, it was like 9 or 10 in the morning on a Saturday morning, and we had a show on the Friday night playing like D&B the night before. We were up till like 4 in the morning, and she lands in Christchurch. She's like, "Who can I hit up for weed?" So of course she rings Dre, and I didn't answer my phone, so they just roll up to my house at like 10 in the morning, and that was kind of like, so if it wasn't for Vanessa coming around with Marla wanting some weed, we wouldn't be Truth and making dubstep. we just keep doing drum and bass. So
yeah, but it's not. I mean, they came around. You hung out all day. I mean, it's like
Yeah, we hung out all day. Like basically, Marla came around, and he actually started playing me his music. He saw that I had a studio and a setup, and I was just like, wow. And he gave us a CD, and that was it. It was a big.
He gave us all the first Deep MIDI releases like before they came out.
Yeah, he gave us tunes like Disco Wrecker and like
Hot Damn,
like Cut Ends and like all those first like 7 or 8 Deep MIDI signings.
Sitting on the heat already. He's like,
we were sitting on the heat,
way ahead of the curve.
He was, yeah. I mean,
I'm just imagining like Mala rolling up, like just like with some little clipboard, like, "Hello, I represent dubstep. Would you like?" So funny. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I'd never even heard of Mala either at the time. So like for
You're
me,
like, who are you?
Well, I wasn't fanboying out or anything because I was just like, I don't know, like dubstep, whatever, cool. As you got to understand, back at this time, it wasn't like we had the option. We're like, I choose drum and bass to be my, like, we did have a few options, but dubstep didn't even fucking exist back then. It was like a new thing. Like, I'd heard the word thrown around a couple of times, but it was like, we're talking 2006, 2007 here. That was like the first year Deep MIDI.
Yeah, put it this way, this is the point that like these guys are touring New Zealand. Like, it's big enough, and shouts out like Subtle, who are still doing the best parties here in Christchurch. They were bringing over like the names, like they brought over Marley, they brought over N-Type, they brought over Loafer.
It was the first run though, in New Zealand.
It was the first run of acts.
New Zealand's been very, very well connected to the UK though. So like we were getting like the drum and bass and jungle guys before like the big UK acts way before like Australia was getting them. You'd think like that tour like the bigger countries first, but we've always had this kind of direct connection with the UK and just like London music and sound. So like dubstep came very early to our hometown, so we were quite lucky with that. But at the time we just didn't even take it seriously. So it's not that we didn't take it seriously, we just didn't really know. We didn't really know what it was or what it was about. It didn't really,
Well, it seemed like, to be honest, like I felt, I'm not sure if you felt this way, Trey, but like we were obviously very much involved, like 70 plus hours a week promoting drum and bass gigs, and like felt like dubstep had like shown up as a big blip on the radar, and it's like, well, what is this thing? But like, is it kind of a hype train, kind of like? And yeah, I heard like a few things that didn't really like represent what dubstep was. Like I went to the record store and I was like, can I check out some dubstep? And they played me a bunch of like, well, like almost like ragga jungle with like dubstep beats, and I was like, it's not really my thing. But then when we heard the stuff that Mala came around with, it's like, oh, I fucking love this shit. Like, this is not what it was at all. And I think the name is misleading. Like I can see why you'd potentially call it that, but like me, I was like hearing the ragga jungle stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, this is why it's called dubstep, because it has these vocals and it has this kind of. Then I heard this shit at Mala, and I was like, oh no, this is amazing. Like,
yeah, this is way different.
And then we started like making it and touring, and then we got to America, and people were like, "Bro, step, Skrillex,
heavy."
We're like, "What the fuck's that? Who's Skrillex?" Like that, literally, like because this era we're talking about when Marla came and visited us, no bro step even existed. There's no such thing, nothing even close to it. To be honest, like probably the closest thing to it was like, like that grindcore, like. Kind of like IDM, like I don't know, just super heavy kind of. Like there wasn't really much of a bass music scene. Like there was dubstep. Like the UK guys were touring the States. Don't get me wrong, but like like brostep probably like blew up in like what 2009, 10.
2009, 10.
Yeah.
Like before then, there was no such fucking thing. And like even us calling it brostep back then, when people first mentioned brostep. I honestly, and this is no disrespect to Scream or Benga, but I like thought that kind of like the more bouncy stuff that Scream was making and Benga, I was like, yeah, that's bro step, because we just weren't.
We thought that was the heavier shit.
Yeah, we're like, oh yeah, there's dubstep, and then there's like the bro step, and that's like the more like like I don't know, Magnetic Man and shit. That's what we thought bro step was, and then we came to America like,
wrong.
Okay, that's something else. So like. Yeah. Whereas you had the different kind of background, you're saying you kind of started off with the heavy stuff.
Oh, totally, yeah.
So it's like a completely different, it's a completely different period of time. But I mean, it's like it's funny how we kind of like.
It's funny, and perspective.
Get into it, yeah. How like people get into the sound and everything. It's just.
I just saw a comment on the chat. Someone said Spectrum saying Circus Records are probably just starting. It's interesting you mentioned that because I remember being in London, hanging out. I think it was in the studio with like Chrome Star, and someone like played that Sweet Shop track. I forgot who it's by. Dr. P.
Dr. P. Yeah.
And everyone, all the dubstep producers were just like, "Whoa, this is amazing! Yeah. It's so different." Like, blah, blah. And now that tune is like, lots of people love it, obviously, but it's also kind of reviled by a bunch of like the true heads. But like at the time, it was just like a different tune. There was no like separation of different sounds and like different genres. It's just like one big sound, and there's like heavier shit, there's deeper shit, there's more meditative.
It became so separated, man. Like all the like, you know, like
shouting now.
Circus guys and they all kind of form their own kind of side of things, and then like it's almost like the deeper side of it almost kind of got like left behind in some respects. Like it kind of like in America, like the heavier stuff just got so massive and so popular and so commercial that like the deeper stuff, like the tours, like died and shit. By the time we started touring the States in like 2010 or whatever it was, you know, like that dubstep sound, because like guys like Youngster and Hatcher and Marla, they had done a few, like 1 or 2 tours of the States in like 2008 and 2009.
There's a big shit happening, man.
Yeah, and there was some really cool, like, you know, there's Joe Nice was had done the Club Love in New York. What was it? Dub War NYC. When we first moved to America, like there weren't like a whole bunch of American producers like you guys, like to talk to and to reach out to, that were making like stuff like us. Like we were very much like the foreign guys playing the foreign sound in America, and they're like, some people were like, this is awesome, others were like, what is this? It's so slow and boring. It's not heavy enough, you know. So I think like now it's such a different kind of time for the sound.
And obviously there's exception to every statement that we're saying. There's obviously an exception to it. Like, you know, there's always going on. There's always smog and like, you know, always some like AXH or whatever never stopped making music, or like Mess, Legends, like they're still doing their thing. Like Drake.
There's very few guys like, you know, guys like Mesk. He's one of the few guys in America that like I can remember when I first started touring here, like who was making beats, who's still like making beats and very current and crushing it, you know.
Oh yeah.
So like respect to Mesk. I was actually just talking to him this morning. He's been sending us all this new music. That's incredible. But,
he's so good.
Big up Mesk, man. He's kind of.
Oh yeah.
Mesk also, he made our most recent logo. He does fantastic graphic design.
Yeah,
really good.
Real nice logo. Go talk to Zach Mesk.
Well, not just graphic design. He's a proper type. I don't know, typography. Is it typography that you call it?
Like that.
They like specialize in the text. So it's pretty.
And generally, as an artist too. Like, I mean, there's covers. The ones he's designed is amazing. So yes.
But I mean, don't get me wrong, the scene, like Tristan, like, you know, there was a smaller scene. People like Nicole doing Submission in Denver. There was Gritzy in Houston. There's John in Calico, rest in peace to our brother. He was doing a really good show. That's What's Up in Detroit. So, you know, there were lots of guys doing shows. But I felt like we'd be touring around. They were always like small promoters, like the underdog guys. They never had much like money to back the gig.
It's a struggle.
You know? Yeah, it was a struggle, man. And it was, honestly, it's been a struggle for fucking 10 years. Like it's only like in the past, like for us as Truth and for DDD, you know, a lot of people say, oh, Deep, Dark and Dangerous. It's like entry level. It's the, you know, first thing you hear when you hear deep dubstep. It's like, well, actually, it's taken us a lot of time to even get it to a point where people can say shit like that. Do you know what I mean? And like a few years ago, like even 3 years ago, most people didn't even know what it was apart from a core kind of crew of heads. And, you know, it's kind of blown up in the last couple of years. And, you know, it's been great for the label, and it's great for the sound, seeing all the growth and all the new acts coming up and everything. But you know, it's a very different time now than it was even. Like, I was looking at an old video playing in Chicago, and I just like remember like 2015, 16, that was a struggle, man. I feel like everywhere we went, we were trying to like not educate, but like that sounds really elitist and wrong, but like kind of like inform them of what we do and what our music's about. And it's a struggle, like in so many places. And now it's just like you go to a gig, you play, and people turn up, they know what to expect. You know, they're going to a show to see Ternion sound. They know the names of the tunes. They know the dubs. It's so dope.
They
to
even
see
know
finally,
the dubs. It's crazy. They know, like,
it's
you'll
got
write
to that
something
point
a
now,
day
man.
ago, and
Thank God.
like, they already know what it is, and it's like,
Yeah.
what?
It's a good feeling, though, right? I mean, like,
I love seeing how it's evolved, you know. And anyone that says, "Oh, dubstep's it's healthier now than it ever was," despite the pandemic and all the bullshit going on, with, you know, it's really, really, really healthy. Like the music, the scene, the way us artists and labels all communicate in the background. We all actually, I mean, look, we get on with almost, I can't think of anyone we don't really get along with. And as far as like other label heads, you know, we get on really well with, you know, all the different guys that run all the different underground labels. For everyone, you know, we've got, I could start listing off guys, and it's just too many to mention. But, you know, behind the scenes, there's just so much positivity and good music happening. And like when things do get back to business, like you said, Aric, it's going to be awesome, man. And it's going to be a big celebration. You know,
it's going to be a big party.
Yeah, it's going to be so awesome.
Yeah.
We're all going to bring our lighters and have a couple drinks, maybe cry a little bit. There'll be a lot of hugs. It's going to be
I feel like the whole like sound and the scenes evolved even in the time we've been on lockdown. Everybody's been forced to sit down and kind of like, I'm bored, oh, what should I do? I'll listen to some music. Like lots of new people getting involved with the streams, and lots of people who lived in places that could never go to shows, or perhaps too young to go to a show, or just, you know, for whatever reason can't go to gigs. They can now see everyone live streaming. I think it's going to be great for when we get back to it, man. You know?
Yeah,
absolutely.
I agree.
Oh, another thing I was going to say too about the growth of dubstep in America, specifically like, you know, USA too, as the rest of the world, or at least, you know, most of Europe has been far more familiar with like the classic dubstep in the United States. It feels like a lot of this growth and movement is not only because, you know, so many Americans have been inspired by, you know, or exposed somehow to that style of music, which is definitely there is a UK sound. There is like a deep dubstep sound, and people find out about it. And so much of it is about like, what is the context that they get exposed to this? You know, if you hear this on a good system, or some artist that you like, you know, or that you think a lot of plays some deep end music, and just like, so enough of these, you know, influential artists and sound systems and stuff has happened to where people discover this music. And I think what's making it grow a lot more too is that the community amongst the artists and the production companies and the sound systems, it's like there's very, very few barriers in between all of those things. And it feels like it's a natural community and family of like, everybody knows each other. It's like we are not okay with negative personalities and putting people down and talking shit. And, you know, if anybody's acting wrong in the scene, like, you know, we're on top of it. And like,
they get called out fast. Like, it's like a big family, you know, and people are definitely, you know, having to be responsible with how they behave and what they say and do. And, you know, people are getting called out, and, you know, it's good. The weeds are getting plucked out, man. We just want positive vibes and good people and open-minded people that are passionate about music, you know.
Another reason that we didn't end up going into like making heavier music, because that was definitely a thought when we were starting the Ternion Sound project, was that we really loved all of the personalities in the
those days. It was the greatest
and it
song
felt like we had been exposed to enough, like, to be honest, like egotistic bro step headliners that were like, I just don't like this personality or the way that these people carry themselves as much as we like, you know, the deep end crew, because everybody's just like, we're all just people, we just want to hang out.
Oh, we're all just fucking poor, aren't we?
Right.
That's why.
We don't have any money to even act like we're cool.
Exactly.
So like, But it just feels like you can be friends with these people, and it's eliminating the whole, putting the artist that you like on a huge pedestal, which is obviously in the last, how many huge headliners have been canceled because they have ended up somehow putting themselves on this massive pedestal, and then
abusing it,
totally abusing it, and totally embodying that ego, and just like it's so fake, and it doesn't feel like they like give people the sense that you think you know them, but you know nothing about these people because they're just like embodying the image that they're trying to put out. And so with this new scene, it's like people feel a lot more comfortable, becoming more than just some person in the audience. Like you can feel like you're a part of this community and not like a family member of Deep, Dark, and Dangerous or Deep Dubstep in general. Like I've personally met so many of my best, closest friends, and now after touring, like especially this last year when we did all of North America and then in Europe, like those are people that we've met entirely because of music, that are people that, I would just die for these people. They're absolutely amazing. And so like it is a community where you can meet the best people. There's just so much good. Well, what's bad about it? There's nothing. It's great. We like to party. We take care of each other. We appreciate who's doing well. And it's like, you see somebody on the rise. It's like, keep going. You're doing it. We're proud of you.
Yeah. Well, before we need to also let our viewers know that this is not a dig at like the harder stuff or the people involved in the like heavier bro step scene, whatever you want to call that stuff. I got a lot of cool friends that I really respect and love that make that kind of stuff too, and there's lots of good people in that scene too. I think we've all just come across like a lot of those guys have had a kind of bigger podium to stand on in America with the whole kind of EDM thing, and they've kind of like a lot of them brought bad attitudes with it and stuff, and that's what we're talking about. It's not so much in general that all of them are wankers. It's only about 80% of them. There's about 20% that are still I'm joking. But look, the thing is, and like I must stress this too, it's not all fucking sunshine and rainbows in the deep dubstep scene, and the thing is, like, we all behind the scenes get along, all the labels, all the guys involved, we talk to each other, producers, we all help each other out, but there's still like no scene's perfect, and like even we get like as we've seen Deep, Dark, and Dangerous grow as a label, it's brought on a lot of new a lot of kids that had perhaps never heard of this kind of sound before or whatever, and all of a sudden into it, and they're repping the gear and they're getting excited. And for a lot of the older heads, they're looking at it going, this is kind of like, we don't like those bass nectar kids, or those, I don't know what you call them, but we don't want them in it, blah, 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 this is our exclusive club, blah, blah, blah. They're not saying that, but it's this chin strokey kind of attitude that it's, it's like, like they can't be enjoying this. And for us, it's like, well, disagree, sorry. It's all about inclusivity, and the more people getting into the music, the better. We can keep, like, people are worried, the more something grows, it's going to lose its...
lose what made it cool.
Lose what made it cool. We always like the whole, like, being able to share a room with like-minded people, not having to like stand on a dance floor full of like just like I'm not even going to go there, but you know what I mean. People that appreciate the music and all that jazz. So but it's also very important to understand that that we all started from somewhere. We all listened to something embarrassing at one stage in our lives, some kind of music that we all went to our first gig and said, wow, what's this? So, you got to let people that are new kind of do their thing and learn about it. And, I see people saying things like, oh, what's a dub plate? And then like you'll see like 10 people jump on them on Facebook or whatever. And I'll be like, you idiot, you should know what a dub plate is. It's like, no, these kids don't know what dub plates are. It's a culture that we grew up with, but a lot of people don't know or understand. And, there was a day that I didn't know what a dub plate was either, and
totally.
So, And so, yeah, people just need to kind of chill out on the whole. We don't want the whole thing getting all elitist and all like, oh, it's not underground enough. Too many people are into this now. It's not cool. Or like, you just got to watch that it doesn't kind of subside into that kind of vibe. Because I know a lot of people that aren't just into the deeper dubstep, they also appreciate it. A lot of them say, oh, it's a bit elitist. There's like guys always going on about, you can't do this or you can't do that. It's like, well, actually, there's no rules. Everybody's welcome. So,
yeah, exactly.
I mean, in general, most people are super cool. I just noticed, like, as things grow, people become protective of something that they might, want to keep for themselves, or I don't know what the psychology is behind it. But it's just
all over the place for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Any kind of music scene, it's like you want to protect what you love. Like if you see something outside as a threat, sometimes, or a lot of people are very like welcoming and just like, everyone come listen to this thing that I like. So it goes both ways. And I think the in real life people meeting each other and hanging out thing is also a very different world to like online, where you're you're insulated from the world and you're just kind of like seeing things through this prism.
Totally.
The scene is amazing, and then sometimes people get things twisted up the wrong way, especially when you're online and you don't really have the context of what's going on. You're just seeing stuff through your own little prism. So, I mean, yeah,
that's right.
Seems like pretty like natural human, the way human minds are. We're not made to. Our psychology isn't designed to be online all the time. We're designed to be like interacting with each other in person, which is why social media is addictive in the first place.
Oh yeah.
It's also why we can't really always our brain is not quite geared to like deal with it all the time. So I don't know, like it's my thought at least. Like, but yeah, I mean, and the other thing, Aric, like you were saying, this is the UK sound slightly earlier, but it makes me think, because obviously you guys are from the States, and there's a lot of. I really feel like any kind of dichotomy between like UK, US, and other countries around the world is really gone. Like it doesn't exist anymore. And I know you're just being humble by putting it that way, but like really, I mean, yeah, to me at least, there's no real UK sound at all anymore. It's just various music.
Totally. I mean, it's definitely like, blurred all the lines, because there's like so many people in the, this whole music scene within like, even just 140 has grown from being this, secret to then like having mainstream exposure and like getting artists on major festivals and having other people like, explore and go into like pop music and get just absolutely ginormous. And so those lines are definitely like, it's been funny to hear comments from people saying, wait, you're not from the UK? And it's like, see, gotcha. Like, we love that music so much that it just naturally like kind of melded itself into what we're doing anyways. And it was definitely
that's something else that's kind of, I think it's bullshit though, the whole like that whole UK, like it's only good if it's made in the UK.
Totally, yeah, that stuff
is like, well, for starters,
we all know that's bullshit.
There's plenty of good producers all around the world. Some of my favorite guys are from, the Netherlands, or fucking could be from, anywhere in the world. There's good producers all over the world.
The Russians, as of late.
Exactly.
Oh man, they're killing
Kircher on that last stream we just had.
I think what happens is, a lot of people. There was a few years, right, of this kind of like foundation kind of sound in the UK. Between like 2006 and like, I don't know, 2010. And that was a really awesome kind of golden slice of like foundational years. And people are obsessed with that to the point where they think like for it to be real dubstep, it has to sound like that, a certain era.
It has to come from an all dub plate. Hatcha said it's like not really anymore.
And you can't release it. You can't release it unless it's only on vinyl, and Americans aren't allowed to like it because it's only only guys are allowed to like it, and it's only guys that stand in dark rooms and don't fucking talk. And that's why it's cool. And it's like no, we like it with all kinds of people involved. We don't want it to be a big fucking bright mainstream disco room, and we don't want the sound to change. But as long as you're like preserving the sound and pushing it, and keeping true to what you're into and what it's all about. And like I think like it's great to see it grow and evolve, man. And
totally,
people need to like stop being elite. And
the funny thing about the sort of the whole like UK whatever, like most UK artists I know, like they want to come to the States above anywhere.
Totally.
Most fun place to tour, the awesomest crowds, like they love it. I mean, like, and if you do see something like, because I feel like there's this balance between like what you're saying, Aric, about everyone being super chill and cool, and then what Dre's been saying about seeing like a few like people online like saying negative shit. And of course you got to remember like, fuck, it's always the person that's with the loudest voice that you end up hearing. And it's just like one or two people might maybe stirring some shit. You might be like, a bunch of people in the UK are elitist or whatever it might be. And it's like, really, most of the people I've ever met are super cool. And there's a few dickheads.
Yeah. Totally. Yep.
It's the same with every aspect of life, it's just.
And people assume that there's like big beefs going on in the dubstep scene and all this shit. It's like, we're actually like super united and like we're actually all like homies. And
seriously,
it's pretty funny.
There's nobody's going out and like shooting the other record label or whatever.
No.
There's like, it's none of that shit. Everybody talks to everybody and it's great. And like, what's another thing? Oh, you were talking about how UK artists want to come to the States. That's been another really beautiful part that has helped everybody. Across the world, is the fact that the United States is catching up with, getting to know all these artists from Europe that they're getting exposed to now that they've discovered deep dubstep, and like, maybe they get exposed from somebody local or find something online or whatever. But we're at a place in a time now that, let's say you are a UK artist, for example, and you just kind of started out and you have a bunch of tunes done and you're have a couple of releases on some labels and stuff. At this point in time, even someone who is of that status, like they can probably come over and do a tour in the USA and they get to be the headliner for all the shows. They can probably get hooked up with an agent and have places to stay. And like, people have been doing this now, and it's possible for them to come over and gain so much from touring in the States, where if they were playing at home, somewhere in Europe, like there's so many established artists there in that scene already that they're stuck at the bottom of every damn lineup, and like, they're not going to make any money, and it's not the best look because you're like, the focus is at the top of this flyer and everything. And so that's been like really amazing.
The States is a great place to tour, man. I mean, why do you think I moved from one of the most beautiful countries in the world to come live in this country? Because it's a great country. I love the people. There's as far as a music scene goes and a tour circuit, the possibilities are endless. You guys have got like over 50 states that you can go visit, and hundreds of cities the size of our hometown in New Zealand.
Like a bunch of mini little countries with different biomes and people and local culture. Like, that's what I love about the States, is like, even if you go to you drive a couple hours to the next state and it feels like you're in a whole new world, and people's accents are different and the food is different, and it's like you've gone to a new country even though you haven't.
Exactly.
Totally.
That's what people from overseas don't understand about America. Like, people don't get that. People are amazed by how many people that are based in the States that haven't got a passport, right? It's like, what? You haven't got a passport? You can literally travel the States for years and experience shit for years and never have to leave the country. Because it's the United States. A state everywhere else in the world is a country, right? In Europe, the European states, they're different countries, but they're still called states. Whereas in the States, it's like one big state with lots of states inside it. So yeah, you can. That's what I love about it. Like, it's just so diverse and interesting.
But also, if you are in the States, do yourself a favor and go somewhere else for a while and try it out, because it's super humbling. Exactly. You'll see, like, just meeting an entirely different personalities.
Exactly,
and seeing how people live.
I just saw a funny comment here. But sorry, yeah.
No, you're good.
You finished. Shouts out to Isdad, who's in the chat, but also I've got this Dre's rant before where he said, only guys who stand in dark rooms and don't talk. Before a drop of a tune, I feel like it's gonna get sampled, eh? Like,
that's it right there.
DJ Wanker's next hit.
Oh yeah. There's things, but there's always gonna be those chin stroker guys that want it to be all exclusive, all for themselves, you know.
And, they'll always be some kind of gatekeeper, you know.
Yeah, it exists. Like, man, it's weird. Like, you go to the techno scene and like talk to some Berlin like techno DJs. I'm sure they'll tell you the same thing. Or you go even in New Zealand, you know, with the drum and bass scene, it's very kind of like, you know, but. The thing is, man, at the end of the day, you got to ask, why are we here? What's it all about? We're here for fun. We're here for music. We're here to have a good time. You know, let's just have a good time. And if you don't like this music, turn off the fucking channel. Go listen to some other shit. You know?
Exactly. And, it doesn't have to be too serious. Like,
no, exactly. People get really serious
about your craft. And, there's being serious about your craft and being serious about what you love. But also, as a producer, like, going back to people, if you do get an ego, it's like, well, just step back for a minute and remember what you're doing. Like, at the end of the day, you're creating something for other people to enjoy. So you shouldn't be too egotistical about that. You know, if you're music and you're good at it, fuck you, you're blessed. You're lucky to be doing that. But there's no need to be like an arsehole.
And it's not a competition either. You know, like, there's too many producers and DJs constantly comparing themselves to others and saying, I've been doing it for this many years. Why aren't I getting these shows?
The entitlement.
How are they getting signed to that label and we're not? How, you know, blah, blah, blah. It's just like, dude, everybody's on their own different path. Focus on your shit. And, you know, if it goes good, that's fucking awesome. You know, like, whatever. And people just need to. It's hard. Like, even like, look, for us, like I said, man, none of us. I think part of the reason there are a lot of good people in the deep dubstep scene. I hate saying that, but I notice you're saying that, so just to clarify. But you know, I think the reason why there are so many good people is because this particular genre was never one that was one like for money or fame. You know, like a lot of people in this life, they want fame, they want money. Making this kind of music is not the way to get that fast. You can make other music and get rich and famous much faster. So that's it cuts out a lot of those kind of people, and it means like there's a lot more kind of down to earth, more humble people in the scene. So I think that's
and it's like it feels like more often within like the heavier community or like the EDM scene. Like, you'll see a lot more artists just like blow up super hard and then they're gone. You know, it feels like this
shelf life,
deeper,
bro.
Totally. The deeper scene is like, in order to get even to like a, you know, established point, you got to spend a lot of time like doing the research and playing opening shows and talking and networking, and like there's a whole, you know, years of work to do just to get to the point where you could do a tour even. So it's like the ease of entry is tougher, and it's like, you know, trying to make money off deep dubstep shows, good luck. It takes a long time, but you know, that's why it's about love. It's about doing what you want to do.
Exactly.
It's like
and then
you found this
by the time
the funnest thing you've ever done, and like that's why I want to do it. It's the
we were like pigeonholed for years as like the deep act playing it at the big show. Who would, they're the deep guys. We'll put them on first. They can open because it's deep music.
Warm it up
like,
for everyone.
Warm it up for the heavy guys. It's like, nah, we're not really about that. Like, we play all around the world peak sets, you know. Like, and in America, they were putting us like, you know, that was, you know, obviously a few years back now. We've kind of grown since then a little, but you know, all I'm saying is that shit with the way everything's pigeonholed, and it just gets out of control, man. People need to just like relax on it.
Somebody's making a comment about comparing yourself. It's hard to not compare yourself, try and make beats and come up. Totally, absolutely it is. Quick story, or kind of a story, basically. I think one reason that all of the Ternions are where we are now, and you know, some other figures here in Minneapolis too, is that we all were like, you know, had a healthy community here of like just electronic music shows, and there's you know, the old school guys doing drum and bass and techno, and then there's like the bro step, the younger, the rhythm stuff. There's some, you know, a couple of little deep end crews, and there's like regular house music. Like, there was a healthy variety of scenes, and none of them were particularly like super large. Everybody still kind of knew each other, or at least enough of like these other scenes. But it was definitely, inherently competitive, even if you didn't go there to like, think about that. It's just like you see your homie or the other guy like play a killer set, and it was like, of course, you want the best for this person, and to be like, congratulate them. It's always a big up. It's always positive, but at the same time, in the back of your head, you're like, it like pushes me and you and everybody to like, shit, that guy did so good. Like I gotta work harder. So it's definitely tough to not compare yourself all the time. But if you instead kind of use what you take influence from as motivation, like
that's
you
right.
see somebody play a great set, then you do it. Like you could do that. You just have to try and work hard.
Yeah.
And it's
exactly.
Like,
it's
it's
all
possible.
about. There's nothing wrong with comparing what you're doing to other artists if it's if you take it and then make something positive out of it. It's when it's self-destruction and you focus on what I don't have and what they have. That's when it becomes negative and it becomes you start getting really depressed and thinking, this is not fair. I've been doing it for this long, or I've done, why aren't I at this point? And it just it can get really I just think anyway, at the end of the day,
I think that is it Equilibricone that was asking the question? I think you've kind of almost answered your own question in the question. Like, you wrote the second part, and it's like, he's saying it's hard because you want to be like some of the dons that you look up to, you want to be original, but you admire the heroes. But then he also says you want to do what they're doing and spread the same love. Well, I mean, that's the key, is like spreading the same love without like directly mimicking. And there's also the old, if you're a producer, one of the golden rules I was taught, is A-Being, you do compare yourself to others. You don't copy them.
Right.
But you listen to their music and you say, how does my music sound? So there's like a lot to be said for direct comparison, as long as it's not like a mimic, in a mimicking sense, So it's like, take someone's vibe that you like, infuse your own art with it. Like, listen to their mix down and be like, how is their, mix? You use that. The only thing, and like compare yourself in a positive way. Like, you're like, how can I emulate that person? What's their drive? Like, how are they finding inspiration or whatever it might be? Like, those are all things that you can compare yourself and emulate without
Andrew's always been a really good advocate of if you want to learn how somebody did something, try and write the exact tune that they did. Obviously, you won't release it or anything, but it's like, try as hard as you can to write exactly what this other person did. And it's all just learning. You're going to learn so much by trying to do that.
Totally. You're using it as an exercise in learning. Like, it's a really good exercise, and you learn a lot. And you're never actually going to be able to recreate it exactly. That's the other thing.
You'll probably find that, like, while you're in the middle of that, maybe your thoughts like, oh, I could just take this off and go in an entirely different direction now that I have like learned a couple of new tools to use. Yeah. That happens to us all the time. We're trying to figure out what will be A-Being and like trying to like, okay, how the hell does Ago make all his shit so perfect and clicky, clacky, sound designy, dub delayed, everything. And then there's beautiful vocals that come in and you're just like, how the fuck does he do this? And so just sitting there and like trying to write just the hi-hat part to make it sound exactly like his. And then maybe that's already enough to be like, oh, I could do something like this. So taking influence and using that as a learning opportunity rather than beating yourself up about it and saying, I suck because I don't know how to do this, is like, you have to speak well about yourself and be kind to yourself.
This is a great quote here from not Vittori, who's quoting Ilgay.
Vittori.
This is how I've tried to explain this so many times, but the way he said it is perfect. He said, your sound is really just a series of habits you pick up while you're learning the craft. And that's completely true. It's like, I say, like, people always say, like, how do you make your own sound? How do I make my own sound? How did you guys create your sound? It's like, well, me and Dre never think of ourselves as having a sound. You guys probably don't either, but it's because you made it. That's your sound because you made it. Those are the things you picked up when you learned how to make beats in your own different way. Everyone sounds different because it's them doing it. And so, I mean, whilst even if you did try to copy someone else, it's still going to sound like you. I mean,
totally.
It's just
Like the most inherent, it just ends up coming out of your music anyways. That's so funny.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I couldn't copy a Ternion sound tune. It would still sound like a truth tune.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Same here. Right back at
That's really important though, to have like I feel like a lot of like younger producers struggle with coming up with a sound and an identity, you know, and you know, like you don't just come up with it. Like it just is something that evolves over time, and people start, you know, if you become a like well-known artist, like they start describing your style, and you're like, oh, that's our style. Okay, you know.
Yeah.
Like it's not like we didn't sit down and go, let's make deep, dark, and dangerous music in 2007 when we met Marley. You know, we were just like, it is just kind of deeper, darker music. You know, it's just what we like. Exactly. That's what we like inside. We didn't like say, we've got to make this because this is what's cool right now. This is really in right now. Let's make this sound. Like, fuck, I don't like that shit. Like, I mean, people can do what they want, but like, I don't like people that just jump on bandwagons because it's like, oh, that's what's fucking cool right now. You know what I mean? So that's very important. Like, you know, it's real important to reference tunes. I find one of the best ways to reference them is actually to mix them with other tunes in it on some CDJs or on your mixer or whatever.
Ooh,
you know,
this is a good thing to talk about.
And you know, you take something that you're working on and mix it in a DJ mix with a tune that you really love the sound of, and that's a really good way to reference it. You know, with art, everything's mimicked, man, and like,
oh yeah,
there's no such thing as like completely like you can't say you've invented that particular sound, or you know, the style of art is only that person. I mean, I'm sure there's, you know, plenty of examples of the first person to do that style and I've named it after them or whatever, but with music, it's all about taking little bits of this and that and putting it together and then coming up with your own original sound. I think it's really important to try and come up with an original sound when you are making repetitive electronic music, because a lot of shit does sound the same, man. And there's a lot of producers that like, I can't tell the difference between him or her because their shit sounds just the fucking same, and like they don't have that niche sound. And that's something that's like really important, like to kind of
deep, dark, and dangerous knowledge.
No, well, like
that's quite interesting.
You guys have a sound. We've got the truth sound, which evolved over a long time to get it to the point where we know what our sound is. Like for a lot of younger artists, they don't know what their sound is. You know, it's something that kind of like
Well, we don't even know it. Like it's interesting because like you know, you're kind of making the opposite point, but they both kind of work together. You know, like I was saying, like, you know, everyone has their own sound because you made it. You're saying like people need to come up with their own sound, and especially when you're starting out producing, like you don't have your own sound, you haven't learned that yet. So it's quite interesting to like hear that perspective. Because I've always been like, oh yeah, you just get your own sound naturally, but maybe that's just what happened for us in particular, you know.
That's true. I mean, some
people engineer it. You know, they want a sound. They're like, I'm gonna be a techno producer, and it's gonna be this particular kind of minimal techno, and I'm gonna have this look, and this is what my logo is gonna look like. And before they even make a beat, they got a logo and they've got an idea. You know what I mean? Then there's other people that like make techno for years. They don't even know what they call their subgenre that they make. You know, so
yeah. Totally.
I think it's interesting, like I feel like it's good to definitely have intention behind, you know, what you're doing, or like it's more helpful for sure to have, you know, either like not necessarily ideals, but like, you know, I think we've all listened to enough music to know, you know, if I was an artist, maybe I like these kind of artists, and you could kind of pull a sound that you might like to have out of your influences. But at the same time, when it really comes down to it, and after you write the thing and write another thing, like your own elements of all of those influences come out to be your sound. Even if you do have like a specific direction, like we went into this project, you know, intentionally trying to like pull old school and modern production and like try and meet them together, but the end result still is a unique sound, even if that's like the broad direction.
Totally. And that's totally cool. You know, like, don't get me wrong, I think that way of doing it is, you know, equally as awesome as a sound kind of evolving. You know, it's just how you want to do it, really. For me personally, it's just, you know, try and be like original and be yourself, and like make music that represents you and not like something that you're trying to be, or not trying to be, but you know, like something that really like is something that you love and that you enjoy making, because there's nothing worse than fucking sitting down at a computer and having to work on like an art that you don't enjoy, and like because you're making it for somebody else, you know, and not for yourself, you know. And don't get me wrong, it's all about making music for everyone, but you got to make music that you love before other people can love it. I mean, you know, man,
absolutely.
It's terrible if you just make music and you're like, I made this pop song and lots of people like it, but I can't stand it. I'm dead inside. Like, I'd rather be like some fucking poor man and have no followers and, you know that I love my art than that, man. You know, it's just, yeah. And at the end of the day, like, there's no right or wrong with what we're talking about here, by the way, to everyone listening. You know, absolutely. Like these are just opinions, and like, you know, this is just opinions can change too. So who knows? We might look back at this and say, "Oh God, I don't agree with what I'm saying." So don't take it too. Don't like quote this and edit the video. Look what he said. There's lots of good questions though. We're going to have to wrap it up because we've been going for 2 hours now, and it's been an awesome talk.
Yeah, really. Enjoying this.
There's a lot of people. Big up Jay Leon, Sam Serif, All Things Dub. There's lots and lots of questions here.
Tentacle tea.
Tentacle tea.
Tainticle.
The taint.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. It's been a great chat. I think we should probably wrap it up pretty soon.
Is there anything we want to go over before? A little message before saying, after this ends, go check out the Neptune AV mix. Just got uploaded to our YouTube channel, so I should just say that before we forget.
Dope.
Yeah, Aric, like, if you got anything you want to...
Oh, big up Black Barrel, Leo Cat.
Oh yeah,
he's awesome, man. All the way out in Russia. We love what he's doing right now. Speaking of dope producers, yeah. Big up Buddy for always tuning in as well, and Bam Brossi. And thank you very much, Aric, for joining us. I know it's a kind of a last minute thing. We kind of hit Aric up like this morning, only not even like 2 hours before the thing. So, hey, you want to jump on and have a chat? And he was keen. So
I was like, at first, that. Half awake and was like, do I? All right, let's do it. Let's chat.
Yeah, dude, it's been really cool chatting to you, actually.
I haven't chatted with Tristan in quite a while as well. Great to see you both. Thank you for having me on. Love chatting about all kinds of everything, music. Definitely,
man. Thanks for joining us. We're definitely going to get you back on the show. We love talking to you, and it's this is just a new show that we've just started, but this is only the second show actually. But
I love your positive sites as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, really good shit.
Flop the Patreon in the chat one more time for anybody who's interested.
Make sure you check out the Patreon. I'm thinking about subscribing to it.
New music, new samples.
Looks pretty dope.
Final presets today. Yes.
And big up everyone for all the input and all the comments and all the questions. It's been a really good session today. Lots of stuff in the chat, lots of positive stuff, and lots of things to talk about. And it's great to see. So thank you everyone for joining. It's been really good.
Yeah, man.
Excellent.
Before we end it, we're gonna raid back the DDD channel. Is that the plan?
Hell yeah. Yeah, we've got a new Deep Dark and Dangerous channel for those of you that don't know. It's 24/7 DDD music with really cool visuals by M7 Graphics out there in Slovenia. Our dudes.
Yeah, jump on that too. It's like Discord as well, and we will be launching a DDD one at some point. I know there's lots of Discord servers out there. We can all coexist.
Discord is super fun. It's just, I think the most attractive thing about it right now is that it's not Facebook. So like, there's no stupid ads. You get to just be in the channels you want, and everything is all divided up by subjects. And so it's really,
it reminds me of old like forums.
Yeah, exactly.
Forums.
Dope. I have to get on that. Check it out.
We'll have to have you guys on for Ternion Select special guests coming up. So I'll be in touch.
Dude, that'd be sick.
Oh yeah.
Okay, well, I think we're about ready to wrap it. I think we're about to raid back to the DDD 24/7. So
yep.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Big up everyone. Much love. Stay safe out there. See you next week. 10 turntables on Thursday. All right, big up.
Yes.
Cheers.
We're playing that Ternion sound plate.
Hey.
Oh, yeah.
All
All right. Peace out.